You have felt it, I know you have. The heaviness that comes off certain people the moment they walk in. The envy you can feel across a room even when no one says a word. The nights when something in the air just does not sit right and you cannot name it, but you feel it in your chest. You are not foolish and you are not imagining things. The old ones felt that same darkness, and here is the part they want you to hear tonight. They were not afraid of it, because they knew they were watched over, and they knew the signs that told them so. Let me sit with you and show you those signs, the way they were shown to me. Pull your chair a little closer to the fire. It is late, and the day has taken what it came to take, and you have earned this quiet. I am not going to spend our evening telling you the world is a frightening place. You already know the hard parts of it. You have lived long enough to have met cruelty face to face, to have been lied about, to have been used by someone you trusted, to have felt the cold that comes off a person who wishes you ill. I am not here to make that cold feel bigger than it is. I am here to do the opposite. I am here to remind you of how small it truly is, next to what has been holding you up all this time. Because the old ones did not pretend the darkness was not real. That is the first thing you must understand about them. They were not simple people who looked away from hard things. They knew there was such a thing as evil in the world, such a thing as envy and ill will and a heaviness that some people carry and try to hand to others. They had seen it. They did not deny it. But they also did not give it 1 inch more room than it had earned. And that is a kind of wisdom we have mostly forgotten, in a time that seems to want us frightened all the time, from morning until night. Think about how much of the world now runs on your fear. Every screen you pass wants you afraid of something, some danger, some enemy, something that is coming for you and the people you love. It is a heaviness poured over us all day long, and I think it is one of the reasons so many good souls your age lie awake at night with their hearts pounding for no reason they can name. It is not that you are weak. It is that you have been fed fear like a daily bread, and no heart was ever built to hold that much of it. The old ones lived closer to real danger than we do, closer to hunger and cold and loss, and yet they carried less fear than we do, not more. That should tell you something. Fear is not proof that danger is near. Very often it is only proof that you have forgotten how well you are kept. Here is what they knew, and here is the very heart of everything I want to give you tonight. The one thing the darkness needs from you is your fear. That is the door it comes through. Not your locks, not your walls, not any charm or any ritual. Your fear. When a fearful heart looks at trouble, the trouble grows, because fear feeds it and makes it into something far larger than it was. But when a steady heart looks at that same trouble, it stays its true size, which is usually small, and often it simply passes on by. So the old ones learned to meet the dark, not with a bigger weapon, but with a quieter heart. Standing unafraid was itself the protection. Remember that as we go. The signs I am about to show you are not signs that you must go looking for danger. They are signs that you have been guarded all along, and once you can see them, the fear starts to let go of you on its own. So let me give you the first sign that you are protected. The first sign is that you can feel the darkness at all. Now that may seem a strange thing to call a gift, but stay with me. The fact that you walk into a room and something in you goes quiet and careful, the fact that you meet a person and feel a warning you cannot explain, that is not a curse and it is not weakness of the nerves. That is discernment, and discernment is a covering. The old ones would tell you that the Creator does not leave his people to walk blind among wolves. He gives them a knowing in the gut, a small voice under the words, that says, "Be careful here. This is not what it pretends to be." Most people spend their lives arguing themselves out of that voice. They feel the warning, and then they talk themselves into ignoring it, because they do not want to seem unkind or foolish. But you, If you are the kind of soul who feels these things, you have been given a watchman that stands at the gate of your life. That is the first sign. You are not too sensitive. You are well guarded. The feeling you have been ashamed of is one of the ways you are being kept. Here is the second sign, and it is a deeper one. The second sign that you are protected is that you have been able to keep your own spirit clean, even after all that has been done to you. Think for a moment about the people who have wronged you across your long life. The ones who lied, the ones who took what was not theirs, the ones who left when you needed them most. You had every reason to become hard. You had every reason to let bitterness move in and make itself at home in your chest. And some people do. Some people drink the poison and let it change them until they carry the same cold they were given and hand it down to everyone who comes near. But if you are sitting here tonight and you can still feel tenderness, if you can still be moved by a kind word, if you have not let hate hollow you out, then hear me carefully. That is not an accident. That is a protection. The old ones knew that the real danger of another person's darkness is not what it does to you in the moment. It is whether it gets inside and turns you into itself. You do not fight darkness with darkness. When someone wrongs you and you keep your own water clean, you have won the only fight that ever mattered. And the fact that you have been able to do it again and again when it would have been easier to go cold is one of the surest signs that something greater has been guarding your heart the whole time. Now, let me give you the third sign. The third sign that you are protected is that the darkness has tried to enter you, and it has not been able to stay. I want you to think about this honestly. There have been seasons in your life when heaviness settled on you like a fog. Times of grief, times of worry, times when a bitter or fearful mood came and sat on your chest and would not lift. Some people carry that heaviness and try to hand it to you, and some rooms and some kinds of talk leave you smaller than they found you. That is real. But here is what I want you to notice. It did not keep you. The fog came and the fog lifted. The heavy season came, and then one ordinary morning you found yourself laughing again, or noticing the light on the wall, or wanting your coffee, and you realized the weight had gone. The old ones would tell you that this is one of the clearest signs of a covered life. The darkness is allowed to visit, but it is not allowed to move in. Something keeps shaking it loose from you, the way you shake the dust from a blanket, the way the morning burns off the fog on the low ground. You did not do that with your own strength. You have been carried through every one of those seasons by something that would not let you be kept in the dark. That is the third sign, and it is a mighty one. The fourth sign is a gentle one, and it is easy to overlook because it comes quietly. The fourth sign that you are protected is that good keeps finding you. Look back over your life and you will see it. Right when you were most alone, someone knocked on your door, or called for no reason, or sat down beside you and would not let you sink. Right when you had nothing left, a small kindness came from a direction you never expected. A stranger, a neighbor, a dog that would not leave your side, a morning that was somehow easier than the night had promised. The old ones knew that darkness is loudest when you are alone with it, and so they stayed close to good people, good work, and good land, and they watched the light come every morning without fail. But they also knew that they were not the ones arranging all that good. Some of it simply arrived, the right person at the right hour, the word you needed from a voice you had almost forgotten. When you look back and see how many times the good came to you exactly when you could not have gone and found it yourself, you are looking at the fingerprints of your protection. Light does not argue with the dark. It simply fills the room, and the dark has nowhere left to sit. And light has been filling your rooms your whole life, more often than you ever stopped to thank it for. Now here is the fifth sign, and it is the deepest of them all, so let me slow down for it. The fifth sign that you are protected is the times that harm passed you by. Every one of us has them, if we are honest enough to look. The accident that should have happened and somehow did not. The road you almost took that would have cost you everything. The person you almost gave your trust to before something stopped you at the last moment. The illness that came close and then turned away. The season you were sure you would not survive, and here you are, by the fire, alive, with breath still in your chest and the fire still warm on your face. The old ones had no doubt about what those moments were. They knew they walked under a covering far greater than any harm, and they called it by many names. Some called it the Creator. Some called it the Great Spirit. Some just called it the good that had carried them this far. Whatever name you give it, you have felt it. You have had the moment where you looked back at a near thing and a chill went through you, and then a deep, quiet gratitude, because you knew, without being able to prove it, that you had been kept. You were not standing alone against the dark. You have never once been standing alone against the dark. That is the fifth sign, and it is the one that lets you sleep. Let me tell you about a man I knew, because the old teachings live better inside a story than inside a lesson. When I was young, there was an old man in the place where I grew up, and I will not give you his name, but I will tell you he was the most unafraid person I have ever stood next to. He was not big. He was not strong in the way the young men admired. He had a soft voice and slow hands and eyes that had seen more sorrow than any one life should have to hold. And he had an enemy. There was another man in that place who hated him, truly hated him, for reasons that had more to do with the other man's own emptiness than with anything my old friend had ever done. This man spoke against him. He told stories that were not true. He tried, in small and patient ways, to poison the well of my old friend's good name, and there were seasons when it worked, when people looked at the old man sideways and kept their distance. And here is the thing I could never understand as a boy. My old friend was not afraid, and he did not go cold. He did not gather his own allies to fight back. He did not lie awake building his defense. When I was old enough to ask him about it, I did, plainly, the way the young can. I said, "Does it not frighten you that he wishes you such harm?" And the old man was quiet for a while, and then he said something I have carried every day since. He said, "A man who wishes me harm has already given himself the worst punishment there is. He has to live inside a heart that wishes harm. I do not." He said, "I will not go and live in that man's heart with him by hating him back. I will stay here, in my own, where it is clean, and where I can still see the morning." And then he said, "The part I want you to hold on to." He said, "The Creator has kept me through worse men than this one, and He will keep me through this one too. My job is not to be afraid. My job is to stay good." That old man outlived his enemy by many years, and he died peaceful, in his own bed, in the morning, with people who loved him in the room. And the man who had hated him died alone and bitter, kept in the dark by his own hand, long before his body ever gave out. I have never forgotten it. The darkness did not need to be fought. It only needed to be refused. My old friend refused it every single day, not with anger, but by keeping his own spirit clean and trusting that he was watched over. And he was. Everything I have told you tonight, that old man lived it, and it carried him all the way home. So let me gather these up for you, the way I would gather them for my own children before a long night. You are protected, and here is how you can tell. You can feel the darkness, which means you have been given a watchman. You have kept your spirit clean, which means your heart has been guarded. The heaviness has come and gone and never kept you, which means you have been carried. Good keeps finding you, which means the light is filling your rooms. And harm has passed you by more times than you can count, which means you walk under a covering greater than any harm. 5 signs. not signs that you should go looking for danger. Signs that you have been safe all along, more safe than your fear has ever let you believe. And now you may be wondering, if I am so protected, then why do I still feel afraid some nights? That is a fair question, and the old ones had an answer for it, and it is where I want to leave you. Fear is a habit as much as a feeling. You have practiced it for years, some of you since you were small, and a habit does not fall away just because you have learned the truth. It falls away slowly, the way a cold morning warms. So do not scold yourself on the nights the fear comes back. Just remember the signs. When the darkness comes and sits on your chest at 3 in the morning, you do not have to fight it and you do not have to run from it. You only have to remember that you have been kept through every night before this one, and that the same covering is over you now. Say it plain to yourself in the dark. I have been protected all my life. I am protected now. And feel how the fear loses its grip when you refuse to open the door to it. Let me give you something to do with your hands and your breath on those nights, because the old ones were practical people and they did not only teach with words. When the fear wakes you, do not lie there stiff and arguing with it. Sit up if you need to. Put both your feet flat on the floor and feel the ground take your weight, the same solid ground that has held you up for all these years. Take one slow breath and let it out longer than you drew it in, and then another. Look around the room you are in and name what is real. The wall, the lamp, the blanket, your own 2 hands. The fear lives in what might happen. Your senses live in what is, and what is right now in this room is that you are safe, and you are warm, and you are here. Then say your word, the one I gave you. I have been kept. I am kept now. The old ones would tell you that you cannot be full of gratitude and full of fear in the same breath, so choose the gratitude and let it push the fear back out the door it came in. Keep your spirit clean this week. When someone hands you their cold, do not drink it. Let it fall to the ground where it belongs, and keep your own water clear. Stay close to the good people and the good work and the morning light, and let them fill your rooms so the dark has nowhere to sit. And when you lie down tonight, do not lie down afraid. Lie down like a person who has been counted and kept and carried every day of a long life, because that is exactly what you are. The dark is real, my friend. I will not lie to you and say it is not. But it is small, so much smaller than you have feared, and you are covered. You always have been. Now rest. The morning will come, the way it always has, and you will still be here to meet it, watched over and unafraid.